All right. Hello, everyone. We're going to pause a minute and let everyone get in here to the meeting before we get started. Wait for the numbers to slow down on the participant count here.
Lots of people wanting to spend lunch with us today.
Yep, that's right. All right. Well, I know we have a short meeting time today. So hello and welcome to everyone. Thank you for joining us on this C-Suite sneak peek today, hosted by Foundant Technologies. My name is Holly Spitz. I'm one of Foundant's product managers. Today, I'm joined on the webinar with Guy Weber, who is also on our product team, and Colin Mulaney from our support team. We are looking forward to this next half hour as we walk through the changes in our check production that was released last week. We are not going to be reviewing the campaign workflow today. So we're repurposing this meeting because of some questions on that new check workflow. We are going to go through the campaign workflow during our next sneak peek, which is on February 15th at noon Mountain. We do plan on pausing today after each workflow to answer any questions live. Before we do begin, you'll notice we're using Zoom as our technology platform to run this event. If you have questions during today's webinar, please open the box where you see the Q&A icon and type in the questions there. We are not going to be using the raise our hand or chat features today. So with that, I introduce Guy, who's going to lead us today.
All right. Hello, everyone. Just a quick reminder, if you were here for campaigns, you might, if you're not interested in the new check workflow, you might want to go ahead and depart from this webinar. So just a quick reminder that we won't be going over the campaigns. We're going to tackle the check workflow, just some questions, some things that we're changing. There will be some more releases at the end of day, probably today. So I'll kind of cover what those are coming as well. Just wasn't able to quite finish up a couple of the things that we're wanting to do based on feedback we've gotten. So anyways, we've been working really hard to get all of those check workflow things and ideas implemented this week. So for you guys, so I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen. All right, can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so just wanted to talk through a couple of things that we did with this new check workflow. The big difference is you're starting from accounts payable. So no matter where you're creating your vouchers, grants, scholarships, wherever you're creating money or ways for your money to leave your foundation, you're still going to come into accounts payable. And I think that was probably the biggest change that people were noticing. So I'm just going to start here from accounts payable. And I'm just going to kind of talk through a couple of things, just some filter things. As you guys have questions, chat those in. We'll be pausing throughout the time. And again, I have Colin here just in case I can't answer some of those support questions. So from this accounts payable area, we're going to create checks from here. So I'm just going to talk through some filter options before we kind of walk through a full process start to end. So I'm going to say create checks here on the left. And then you're going to see that the screen that used to come up, second is now coming up first. So it's going to help us filter by what type of account we're wanting to pay from. So if you're selecting, your grant checks and you have a grant checking account, then you would want to select that account first. So I'm just going to use my operating account for just talking through some of these filters and things, and then selecting your date that you want for your check date, and then the type. This type is going to be pulling from your profile. So let me jump over. I'm going to click into this other tab here. And let's just pull up a profile here and just see where this information is pulling from. All right, so down here on my profile, you're going to see that I have this default payment type here. So this is check. So if I edit and maybe I have this set up as a check or I don't have them set up, I could go into here and set up check or electronic or ACH if I have BAM or excuse me, or I could leave it blank if I don't want to populate anything and do that kind of more as a one-on-one. So if I know this vendor is always going to have a check, I would say go ahead and come in and save your default payment type. So that's on the profile level. Any questions yet, Holly?
Yes, wondering if they can create any additional types for those vendors, and that is not an
right.
option.
Yeah, not not now. So, okay. So the check type here, again, if I want to select check, so I saw on my vendor, I wanted to select my check. This is going to help us filter down our next list to anything that has the check. If I want to go ahead and include my profiles that don't have a defined payment type from their profile, I would want to go ahead and select this. So this is going to pull in the blanks and anything with the check. And then if I want to do the one check per vendor, I could select that as well. So again, I'm just going to throw in something for my check batch. So we had a lot of requests out on Idea Lab for, to be able to name your batch. So that's populated here now before you get your batch going. This is just going to give us a list of everything that's in accounts payable and ready to pay based on that check type here, that default payment method from the profile. Are we still good, Holly?
Yes, for the most
Okay.
part. I think I'll save some of these for the end of the workflow and then.
Okay. And then I just want to talk through some of these filters here. So you can save your filters. If I want to filter by this checking account here, so maybe this is pulling from your fund. So if I know I only want to pull any of my checking accounts that are called investment, I can go in and I can create a filter. That filter is going to be based on my fund account. Let's see if so that is the account ID. So I could select this. You could see this is under my fund filter. So if I didn't want to, I could go search under my funds and see what else I wanted to filter on. And I'm going to say that it is, and then I can select my check boxes. And this is where I could check that investment account. So I could say I want to pull anything that's, in my investment pool area. So I could do that and apply that filter. So now you can see that my list has now been populated here to one checking account. I can also save this filter. So if I know that I'm always wanting to filter by that checking account, I could call this my investments. And I could share this. So if somebody else is also processing checks in my foundation, I could save that and share that report. So now the next time I come in, I can just select load and then select that filter if I want. So then I could go ahead and then select pay and start to process my checks. So I just want to talk through a couple of other filters before we go on further. So do we need a pause here, Holly?
Yep. Can we go back a little bit to talk about the difference between ACH, electronic, and check or blank on a vendor? So there was some concern about ACH and that you have to use ACH for Bambora. So,
yes.
But if you select electronic, you can still create a Nacha file that you import into your bank.
Yeah. So if you're using Nacha, you'll want to choose electronic as your payment method. Yeah.
So hopefully that answers that question. Hopefully, let me see if there was.
You can also bulk update your profiles if you're wanting to kind of use this filtering. You can go into, let me go back into profiles. So I'm going to click on this other tab here really quick. I'm going to go into profiles and you can use this bulk update here. And you can select names. And then that's going to download your profiles for you. Again, you'll want to save a copy because bulk updating can change a lot of stuff and maybe you don't mean to. So let me get my download. Let me see if that worked here. So always save a copy. So just in case you need to go back and override things, but there is a column here in this report that's called default payment. So if I had a group of vendors or something that I wanted to go ahead and set those, I could set, maybe I want everything to be on check. I could do that and then re-upload that.
Yeah. So, okay. So then the difference between electronic and ACH is strictly how you're going to select the ability to create a Nacha file. So if it's an electronic, you're paying them electronically or using a Nacha file, using some sort of an electronic payment, select electronic. If you're one of our clients who uses Bambora and creates ACH payments within our system, you use ACH, correct? And then obviously check makes complete sense. And blank means you can choose if it's a check or if it's electronic. correct?
Yes.
Okay. And then there was another question. Vouchers are created completely as they were before. Go to vouchers, create a voucher.
Do you want me to do that?
Once that's created and posted, that voucher is going to populate accounts payable.
So I'm going to go into vouchers and then create on the left. Select one of my vendors here. Again, I can copy if I want to use that functionality, or I can just put in my fund and amounts here. And then the check memo line has moved onto the voucher or the grant so that you can add your memos. So if your program manager or your AP person is putting in your check memos, they can go ahead and do that from the voucher. Again, that was a big Idea Lab request, was to be able to, as you're processing your vouchers, to be able to put that memo line in. So spell today. Oops. Oh goodness, I erased my mouse out.
Okay, so once the voucher is created and posted and approved, if you have approval levels turned on, you will go back to, go ahead.
So you could pay that as a single check there, or you can go into accounts payable. Now you're going to see it here.
So this accounts payable screen, for those of you who have not seen it very often, maybe you haven't paid attention, anything that has a voucher associated with it is in the accounts payable table. If it's a grant without being vouchered, it's in grants payable, and then a scholarship is scholarship payable. So that's how you can know where they are in the workflow from this screen, which has always been here. This is not new, but could be a new view to people.
Yeah. And again, it was just kind of segregation of duties. People didn't have the person maybe that was entering their accounts payable or their grants, also processing their checks. So just a kind of a way to segregate those duties within a foundation.
Okay, you can keep going.
Okay, great. All right, so I'm gonna go back in to create checks from my accounts payable screen. And then I'm gonna go ahead and select my checking account again and my date, selecting check, and then including my default. And hitting next. I have some filters that I've saved, so I can go in and I can load those. So again, if I want to use my checking account based on that fund account, or if I want to just do my grants. So here I have grants, no scholarships. So I can create any filters that I'm wanting to do to filter that list down so I can really define my batches. So if I do grants, no scholarships, and load that one, you're going to see that I did a filter that is scholarships no and grants are yes. So you can see that I have actually 2 grants in there to be paid.
So these are filters that you can create and save.
Yep. And that I'm just going to go ahead and open another tab. And I just want to show you, let's say you can see I had a grant number 2 because I was testing different filters. So if I come in here to reports, and I'm going to go down here to this open voucher. And this is where you're going to see your different filters. So I can see, oh, grant filter 2, I really don't need that. I can delete it here and not have that populating in my list. So if you get through there and you're like creating filters and then you realize, oh goodness, I've created too many filters of the wrong filter, you can go back in, and it's going to be through custom reporting that you can delete those filters under this open voucher report. Just wanted to point that out, but this is where you can see I created that investment checking on the fund. And I have one set for just scholarships, and I have one set for grants. So, and then just a grant filter. So any questions on filters, or do you think I'm good to keep paying?
So far, there's a lot. I haven't read through them all, but I think we're good right now.
Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and select pay. And then this is where if I had several, let me go back actually, just so we can look at something as we're doing this. Just put in my information, and I'm not going to throw a filter on this one. Okay, so here you can see I have a couple to Oklahoma State University. I'm going to go ahead and select pay. I still have the ability, if I don't want to select all of them. Again, I didn't do the one check, so this would actually produce Oklahoma State's with several different checks. But if I did, it would just print on one check, and you would see that once you get to the check writing process. So you had the ability to check them all here, or if I decided, oh, this Sky Weber one doesn't get paid until April, so or something, and maybe it's a mistake that it's here, but you can decide which ones you want to go ahead and process onto your checks. So I'm going to go ahead and create my checks here. And then if you have approvals on, this is where you would see that approval step. So some of you may not be using that functionality. And then from here, you're within your batch and you can do your check run here and then just print your checks. And then go back in and confirm. Oops, I don't think my PDF, I think I clicked on it too. So here's my PDF with my checks on there. And then I go back in, and then this is where I would confirm and post checks. So this is where we now segregated what you were used to doing with your grant letters if you were processing grant letters or scholarship letters. And so now that's in the grants or scholarships area. So from here, I can go back. So my check processing, so my check writer is done at this point. If I go to my home screen here and go into grants, you're now going to see that I have stuff in my documents bucket. So you're going to see my different batches here. And I can come in and select documents or to send my documents. So you'll be able to see our batches are here. And then I can print my documents, download my documents, or email my documents. Part of what's going to be changing later today is this email documents will be processed like this. So if you have several, you can add emails from here. We had people saying they copy theirs and they were using that functionality from the individual checks. And so we added that in. So if people are wanting to be able to CC from their big batch of grant letters, they can also change the subject letter. So when it's being emailed out, they can change that and then kind of change this message to whatever you want that email to say whenever your grantees are receiving this. So from here, you would go ahead and hit send emails, and then your emails are sent. So this is going to give you visibility now on that, and then you can mark them as sent. That's going to clear out your docs bucket. So now you can see my document bucket is empty. Then if I had scholarships, I would want to go back to my home screen, into scholarships, and you can see that my scholarships will be here in their own separate bucket. I'm going to select send documents, that red icon on the left here, and I can do that same functionality over here. I can print, download, or email my documents from here. So again, that same functionality is now available in scholarships. So I can go ahead and send that email out and then mark that as sent. All right, so pause for questions.
All right. Colin, do you see any that we should answer live? A lot of people have asked about running multiple batches. So it's no longer an option, right, to do checks electronic together. It's either checks in blank or electronic in blank, or the ACH. However, you can run anything that's a check or an electronic, that's a grant, scholarship, and voucher if you want, or you can
Oh,
filter them out.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. And then I
Okay.
would use those filters. Like I would create a grant filter and filter down to that.
Okay, I'm going to leave the grant stuff. You're going to go into grants in a minute, right?
And look at, what do you want me to just show in grants? I was going to show
No,
you
yeah, go ahead.
another release that we're going to do later. Again, we're working on a couple of options, is from your posted check ID. So if I go into a check ID, I'll be able to then see down here at the bottom. Let me move my little Zoom thing my way here. You'll see this delete or email from here. So these are your attached files. So if you void a check and you're going to reprint your grant letter, you'll be able to delete that. The delete is currently on the check ID because this check may be paying 6 grants or 7 grants or 1 grant, whatever it is. We just didn't want clients to think that when they were deleting the letter that they were just deleting it from 1 grant. So we really want you to know that it is coming from this check ID. So again, if you're paying 3 or 4 grants, it would be deleting that grant letter from all of those. So this delete is here, and then the email functionality I think clients were using before is still an option here. So that will be released later today. Is that answering any of the questions?
I think so, yes.
Okay.
There's a lot.
Right now in the CC box, I think right now in the CC box on the bulk, I believe it is just 1. It's a 1-to-1, so 1 CC to in that box. I don't believe that it's going to be able to be semicolon, but I can double check that. Okay.
What about the order check print?
That is based on this screen when you're creating it. And Colin, you may have to correct me here on this one because he's done a little more testing on that. But it is, I believe, from oops, go back to my electronic.
Include everything.
Yeah, I'm like, oops.
And there was a question too, while you're doing this going electronic, if there's an internal grant, when you select electronic, it will be in that batch.
Yes. Yep. So from here, this is the listing. Is that right? Pulling that if whatever they filtered is how it's printing on the check IDs. Do you remember that last week? I know Sutton did some changing on it, so.
So
it was going in voucher ID order.
Okay.
And I haven't seen if it's updated to anything yet.
Okay. So voucher ID is how it's printing. I think another thing that Sutton is going to be working on today is maybe the option to maybe turn off the documents bucket. I believe some clients are maybe not even producing grant letters out, so maybe they don't want this document bucket and they don't want those letters. So if you don't have a template set up, so if you don't have a grant letter template set up, it's not going to produce those. So just know if you do not have a default template, you won't be seeing those.
All right. Do you want to go through the grant workflow to payment?
Sure.
And see.
From start to finish?
Yes, because there's some grant letter questions and some scholarship letter questions. So maybe if we can walk through these flows.
Okay. All right, let me select a grant here. On the grant award letters or grant letters? Did you say? I'm sorry.
I think both. I'm not.
Okay.
It's in relation to checks, so I mean grant.
Okay, so okay, because I did process the grant letters.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm just going to complete this grant here so we can get it into our AP bucket. So let me just throw in a couple of things here. Get my fund in here. I have multi-currency turned on just for some testing in my site. So if you don't have multi-currency, you're not going to see this drop down. So don't be alarmed there. The award letter, you may or may not be using that functionality. It's there on every grant. So again, those are letters that you can send out prior to writing a grant check. So before you pay it, you can send out a grant letter that says, hey, or a grant award letter that says, hey, you're going to be receiving this. So let me do my GuideStar charity check. I'm just going to process this one through individually. So in true C-suite fashion, I'm going to follow my red prompts. Look at that. I'm overdrawn in my fund. I'm just going to override that. All right, let me approve it. So if you have grant approvals on, you'll see that step next. Create my voucher. So again, I'm just processing one grant individually all the way through here. All right, do you want me to pay individually or pay it through accounts payable?
Why don't we do it individually?
Okay, great. So I'm gonna go ahead and pay this grant. You're gonna see that it is going to pull up. I'm gonna be able to select my checking account. So if I have a different grant checking account, I could select that from here and then check however I want to pay this vendor. All right, so then I'm gonna go ahead and create my check. And then this one's going to come up with my approval. Again, I have that on just for some testing in my site. And then I can add my check. I'm going to print my check here. So here's my check. I could go ahead and get that printed. And then I'm going to add my check number manually. And save that. So now my check ID is all done here. So I can go back into my grants. So I'm going to select grants across my quick menu across the top. And now you're going to see it's populated here in my documents bucket. So again, if I have that segregation of duties, this is where the program person or the grants person would want to come in. I've got my checks written, so now I can come into my documents bucket and I can start to process. So I can click my red send documents here on the left-hand side. So I could print these documents. This is the same for scholarships, the same workflow. So you can print your documents, or you can download them into a Word document. So here's my grant letter. I could download it here. So maybe I needed to make some changes. So I'm going to save them to my desktop and then attach that file. I could do that. So here's my document here that I just downloaded. Let's see, it's populating on my other screen. So here's my Word document. I could also then email this document. So if this was a grantee that I was just emailing out, I could go ahead and email that document. So again, this is that new screen that's coming out. So I could add an email in here. And CC. Again, changing that subject line and adding that content if I wanted to change that. So once I've done those steps, so again, you're maybe not printing or creating those Word docs if you're just emailing things out. So once that, I can select this one to mark as sent. And once I come over here to my paid bucket, I would be able to come in and let me pull that Midwest Food Bank up here. I'm going to pull up today's that we were working on. And now you can see here, I have those grant documents. So here's my check ID, here's the batch that it's in, and here's the grant letter and the grant Word document here attached. So this would be the same for scholarships as well. And I know we're getting really close on time, so it always goes so fast.
Well, for one, I want to know, everybody has a lot of great ideas in this list. So we do get a list of all the Q&A questions. We are continuing to update this workflow. So we're taking some feedback and we're making some changes. A lot of the changes that have been recommended here. How do we, wait, there was one question.
And I know there was some, I think out in Idea Lab, they're changing and updating their grant letter templates, per fund. I would really recommend updating that template to however you're going to use it for that type of fund. Set it to that fund so that the system can automatically populate that and then attach for you. Always trying to work smarter and trying to get those grant letters to where they're kind of hands off for you if you can. So I know you have to verify and double check things, but just making sure that if you do have like a specialized template for just one fund, set that at the template area and set that for that fund. And that would help, I think.
Do you want to show them how to do that?
Sure. Yeah. So if you go into home, and then I'm going to go into systems data, and then I'm going to go into templates. And then here is my grant letter. So I could add my funds to this. So I could say, I want this to go by this particular fund group. So all of my donor advised, maybe I want their template to look like this, or a group or subgroup or something like that. You could set that. And then I could set that to a particular fund group so it knew to populate from that.
Okay. When you enter a batch name, where does that show up?
On the batch, the check ID checks.
Okay. With the check ID, you see the batch name.
Yeah, it should.
Okay.
And then also another thing we changed, I don't know if you guys had seen this in the release notes, we added that list batches here on the left-hand side. There were some foundations that really do a lot with their, so you'll be able to see those batches here as well. So if you're like, oh yeah, this is, I'm looking for my grant, group that I printed on 1/18, you would be able to see those batch names here too.
Okay. And I know
we
we're
also,
slightly, yeah, go ahead.
We also, on the individual check IDs, if you unpost your check, this was another thing that came across Idea Lab this week. If you unpost it and select edit, you'll be able to change that address, the date, and the memo line from here, and also change your fund. That was another thing that people were wanting that functionality back.
So added the ability to edit. There is a lot of documentation in help. There's articles. If you go in the sandbox, there's some walkthroughs. There was a lot of questions about where to print grant letters, what are the approval steps, how do you set the NACHA and org ID? Those things have not changed. So all those articles should be available in that question mark icon down at the bottom right. And other than that, we'll probably follow up. If there's any questions we did not answer and we need to follow up, we have all the questions. We'll do that in email. Please continue to use Idea Lab. If you have some suggestions on this new check workflow, if you could put that in the title of the Idea Lab submission, that would really help us.
I just want to kind of talk through another thing. You guys can hang out here for a little bit if you want. There was a couple of questions like on regenerating letters. So I'm going to show that really quickly. So let me just come in here. So from the checks here, go back into my checking account and into my posted. So I can go into this batch that I just processed here. If I go into this batch ID here, you're now going to see this regenerate documents here on the left-hand side. So this will allow you to regenerate any of those documents, your Word documents, and all of those that maybe got missed. Even if they were on old batches, those will populate now if you want to go back and do that. So then I would be able to go into my different checks and be able to see them there. So that regenerate. So now you're going to see I've got two separate letters. So I've got the one at 133 and 117, so that when I click regenerate, that's when that's processing. So let me see, I think there was another question. And then also when you're processing your big batches, getting all of your grants or scholarships, I'm just going to show you how I created those filters. So I'm just going to go back into accounts payable. And I'm going to select my create checks. Select my checking account. And then this is where I could put, if I'm just doing my grants, I could do that. So this is where I would want to select filter. And I can say grant voucher. So if I say grant voucher, this is going to filter down to everything that's a grant voucher, which would also include your scholarships because those do process through that grant voucher. So I would say apply that filter so you can see that my scholarships are still out here. So if I didn't want my scholarships to go and I truly just wanted my grants, I would apply another filter and do scholarships. So I'd select my scholarship voucher and then I would say no, and then apply that filter. This will allow you to then, you can see my scholarships are gone now because I don't want that. That's where I would save this and call this, grants only, which I had done earlier. So maybe something like that. And then that way, when I come back in, I can select this particular filter to load it, and it will populate that for me. So again, if I go back to my checks or my accounts payable, and create those checks. And I could say these are my scholarship or my grants, what we were working on, and hit next. And then I could just load that filter. So my grants or my scholarships, and then help filter that down. So again, if you're doing grants and then your certain fund checking account, you can add those filters together. We just had people that were really filtering their list so differently. So this kind of gives you more options to save those filters and add them from your creation screens here. So I could say this is grants, no scholarships. Again, that's going to populate, and then you can see I have nothing in there to pay. This just grants. So I don't know if I kind of got everything.
Oh, there's just so many questions. I'm not sure what we did and did not. But maybe we can figure out how we can get a Q&A, like frequently asked questions doc out with some answers.
Yeah.
So we will work with L&D on that one, and go through all the Q&A and see if we can address some of this.
And just remember, you don't have to do a separate batch for each type. If you want to process your accounts payable, grants payable, scholarships, those can just be done all together. You don't have to apply any of these filters. So if I had vouchers and grants and scholarships in there, I could just create one. It is going to still help, filter down to either your checks, so your paper check batch, or electronic. So if you were doing a notches, to help filter those. Again, just to help kind of divvy that up, but you don't have to filter it down to just grants or scholarships. We have some clients that love that, and we have some clients that don't. So again, just trying to give flexibility to all of our clients.
Yeah. So, and then feedback for some other webinars, we'll make sure to give that to L&D. So more to come, and we'll make sure we can get a FAQ document out to everybody with questions. So since we are out of time today.
Yeah. So again, everybody's using their filters so differently. So hopefully this will give them lots more flexibility in their check writing.
All right. Thanks all for joining us. We're going to address campaigns February, or sneak peek into campaigns February 15th. So our sneak peek webinars will be sneak peeks moving forward. If we need to do some more webinars on, deep dives into any of these new additions and enhancements coming up, we will as well. Thanks, everybody.
And those campaigns will be released in sandboxes on Monday the 13th is kind of our tentative plan right now. So you'll be able to play with it a little bit before the webinar.
All right. Thanks all. Have a great day.